Southeastern Bowhunter Podcast.
We got BJ Davis and Cheeto Marlow here. If you haven't heard of these guys, look up Suburban Bowhunter. But if you haven't heard of them, you're pretty much living under a rock. These guys are very accomplished with what they've done, and I've looked up to them for the past few years, and it's awesome to get them on the podcast, and I'm really excited about this one. So what's going on, y'all?
Man, not a whole lot, dude. Thank you so much for that intro, by the way. It's crazy to think about. I know Cheeto feels the same way, that you get out there and you kind of record and you put yourself out there on social media doing what you do, and you run into people that are actually watching it. It's a little bit like mind blowing that people care.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely appreciate that, because I really don't deserve. I don't really kill a lot of big deer. I hunt a lot of deer, and so my year's coming.
You're the right people, man. You're the right people. I'll tell you that. I heard about y'all from actually watching Seek One, because I grew up 20 minutes from where Lee and Drew are from, and had no idea that you could kill deer in city limits. And then when I started hunting, I was just on YouTube and found them. And then next thing I know, I see, BJ come up and Lee's down there hunting with you. And I saw the state record and all the giants y'all were killing. And I'm like, dude, I want to do that. So y'all kind of got me into it, man. My obsession's because of you guys. So
yeah, man. Well, same. I mean, watching Seek One, my story's a little bit different than theirs. I'm a little bit older than they are, and I've got 5 kids and got a family and all that. And so just like everybody, I was into hunting, and just it grabbed me. So if you're in Alabama, most people, then the next step is either find good public land spots, which in Alabama it's really tough to do. And second step is get in a club, spend a couple $1,000s and go down South Alabama somewhere, drive 3 hours. And, so that's what I did. I jumped in a club and would drive 2 hours and, go down on Friday, come back on Sunday. And with 5 kids, my wife is like, this ain't working. And as gently as she could, she was like, we need to figure out a new plan for this hunting obsession you have. And then I ran across Seek One, and they were doing it in Atlanta. And, I was like, man, if they knew that in Atlanta, I grew up in Birmingham. So I know every nook and cranny. I've seen deer all over the place, have a lot of connections and friendships and all that. And I started exploring it and trying to figure it out if we could do it here. And thankfully, I was kind of on the front end of that. There's some OGs that have been doing it for a long time. A lot of them under the radar, were not happy when I came out and started doing it really on the radar. But that aside, I mean, I was kind of first at the table and getting some spots. And so that was a blessing. And, it was, for me, I don't like knock on doors like Lee does. Cheeto's a big door knocker too. He's really good at it. I mean, I will do it. There's big enough deer. Yeah. But my approach has always been a little bit different. So Birmingham is really undeveloped in a lot of areas. And so we have a lot of big landowners that surround our communities and our suburbs. And
on the way in.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of opportunity to get in big tracks, as long as I could get a hold of the right people and finagle my way in. And, and like I said, I was kind of early to the table. So I ended up getting a spot or two, and then that led to another spot or two, or a relationship that opened up a lot of doors. And, people kind of always comment to me like, well, you must have a lot of money or be a big business guy or whatever. And by no means. I'm very little means, very little, just kind of we're creative and helpful to these guys, landowners, and landed some great spots. And anyway, I probably went down a rabbit hole you didn't want to go down,
but no, you're good, man. We love it. Awesome.
Backstories is what we, kind of focus on with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, you see these guys and, it's, you like to hear what the people who are very successful did to get to the point that they're at, because I mean, going back to the Seek One deal, there's so many rumors and stuff about those guys that it should be pretty obvious they're not true. But then some of them, catch more traction than others. And it's like, man, I don't like it when people don't know someone and they just don't like them because they don't know them and they just believe something,
Yeah.
like
It's funny, like deer hunting brings out the worst in people.
oh, it does.
And and Lee and I met through social media. He was looking at Birmingham and thinking about coming here, and then just started connecting with me. And we just, I was already watching their stuff, so that door was open for them to come over here. And I really got to know him, because he came to my house and would stay here for like 3 weeks at a time chasing a deer. And we just we made a personal like friendship. And I realized that's a genuine dude. There's not many people, I don't know, like celebrities or people that are really out there like that, but you never really know, are they really cool like they seem or whatever? That guy is. And Cheeto's gotten close to him too. He can say that. And as far as like whatever rumors are, like that dude's above board. Like he's gonna make sure not only is it legal, ethical, and right, but I mean he's gonna take that to the next level, just so everything they put out there cannot be within question, not just from the hunting perspective, but from a spiritual perspective. So people can't question his walk with the Lord, which is it's a big thing. And we're the same way. Cheeto's even worse than I am. Like an example, we first started hunting this deer together. Kind of a funny story, but I don't know if we want to get into the whole story. It's kind of my deer that I gave to Cheeto. No, I give him a hard time about it. But anyway, there's this one instance that happened where we got permission on the deer, and he's in a small block, like 7 acres or whatever, 10 acres. And we go up and we find, we see him walking the interstate. So, we kind of know he's on that side of the interstate fence, primarily, and we're on this side. And there's only one place we can put our stand where this block of woods is. And there's a tree that has fallen over the fence where the deer could almost get over. So I was like, Cheeto, let's just clean that tree up. We're helping the state out, and then the fence, might come down a little more where they can have an avenue to come through here. And then when the season's over, we'll fix the fence back perfectly and all that. And he's like, nah, man, we're not doing that. We're not touching it. It's just, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I was just like, man, that's just, God, why do I make friends with people like this? And
oh, man.
Sure enough, man, the Lord is like, just honors that. And that night we get pictures of that deer on our side doing it right or whatever. And so, yeah, I think a lot of that we contribute all of our success. And I know Lee and those guys are the same way. It's all glory to God. Like everything's going to point back to that.
100%.
For me, it's like, I'm no expert in hunting and deer habitat and patterns and bedding, any of that. I mean, I have enough knowledge where, I can be dangerous or whatever, but I mean, it is literally like God is in control of the animals. And like, so we just honor him and all of that. And then we put all of this together as a platform, essentially so that we can point people to Christ in a way that's not as much in your face, but like you watch us, hopefully, that we are believers and we love the Lord and we're going to pray and we're going to do things right. And I think through that, we've essentially been blessed,
Oh, 100%. I mean, you guys, I said this to Jay Maxwell when I had him on the podcast I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last deer season, I think. Y'all have been, and I know it's a hunting podcast, but I'm still going to say it. Y'all have been a huge instrument in me finding my faith and, going through the process and getting saved and getting into it more. And actually because, growing up, I was like, oh yeah, there's a God. Cool. And that's all I did. Now my whole family will call me like a Bible thumper half the time. It's like, I do it because it's, I care about them. I want them to know who Jesus is and all that. And he's, the same way you guys are saying, like putting that at the forefront will, pay off, I guess, not only for eternity, but also with the whole hunting thing. I mean, that deer on the wall right there, dude, I prayed 15 minutes before he showed up. And next thing you know, him and another deer show up and they're right there. And I'm like, okay, this is it. And just like that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that deer right there is called the prayer buck for that exact reason.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah,
man. it's huge. And you guys were a huge part of that because, some people will have the faith, but they don't share it. They'll be embarrassed, or maybe they don't want to put it out there and have someone maybe not agree with them and retort back and all that. But seeing you guys do it on YouTube and social media and stuff, it made me basically be like, all right, I don't have to do that. So thank you guys for that.
Hey,
I appreciate it.
yeah, thank you for saying that, man, because that's all our whole heart is that people can see the love of Christ like through us, because if they don't see that, then we're not doing it for the right reasons, and so then we don't want a part of it. So because I know BJ's heart's the same, as if it's not God honoring, then I don't want to be a part of it. So man, that's really cool to hear. But I guess I'll kind of say how I got into it real quick too, but it's kind of the same storyline as everybody else. But Seek One, it's I watched. I asked him to put it back up, but I think it was Drew killed a deer like off of somebody's driveway, like behind some hay bales.
Yeah,
and
I remember that one.
The OGs, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I was like, at the time I had just lost the hunting club that I had with my uncle, which was was great. It was close. It was only like 25 minutes from my house. And, but I kind of grew up in Chelsea, which is kind of like the, woodsy area of Birmingham. And, my place was like towards Columbiana. And so it was just easy to go. I just come right back. I didn't spend the night there, and it was great. But then we lost it. Family bought it, which now I'm really good friends with that family. So it's really cool. But I don't ever hunt there or anything. But I just kind of saw it was like really hard to, to go hunting with friends, because, they'll tell you that deal like, yeah, man, shoot whatever. Like, you get invited and it's like, shoot whatever, and the pressure. And I'm like, well, what if like a big buck shows up that y'all have all been, growing for the last 5 years? And they're like, man, use your discretion. And so I was like, crap, that feeling. And, probably
a little.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest deer of my life was actually happened, at that moment, probably 140-inch deer.
Wow.
At the moment was the biggest deer I'd ever been encounter with. And I had to watch him for 15 minutes, like 20 yards from me. So it was just like that kind of stuff was just like, to me, it's so frustrating. So when I saw that, I was like, well, shoot, I see deer all the time in neighborhoods, like, because we just drive around just to look at deer because we enjoyed that. And so I was like, I know 100 spots right now that I could go shoot a deer in. So anyway, so that's how I got into it. And I actually met BJ, and getting to know BJ, it was like, we laugh about this because I was, I messaged him on Instagram and was like, hey, we're kind of doing the same thing. I want to, talk to you about it. And he didn't respond for
I'm not the best responder.
He's not.
Yeah, you had me going there for a minute, dude. When I texted you the other day, I'm like, oh, I hope it doesn't cancel. I'm not gonna bother you, but I just want to make sure this can't happen. Like
a man of 5 kids and married, and
I forgot about that.
He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I thought the same thing. I was like, geez, this guy's never gonna respond. But then, he did, and now BJ and I are like best friends. So I don't think I do anything without BJ. So
yeah.
No, speaking of not doing anything without BJ, how'd it go? I saw your TikTok about taking him. I think it was last year or maybe longer. I'm not exactly sure. BJ, you took old Cheeto here to the dentist.
that was actually a few weeks ago.
Yeah. You still healing up a little bit?
Yeah, it was pretty out of this world, I guess you could call it.
You couldn't find your face. It was awesome.
I don't remember much about that, but
I had to edit that video pretty heavily.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Everyone I know that's gone through that, they're like, what happened? I'm like, you don't want to know. Even my wife has done, and I'm like, don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
So I asked BJ to pick me up because my wife, she works, she's a general manager of a store. So she didn't have time, and it's like a during the week thing, and we both sell. So I was like, hey, just pick me up. I was like, if you want to, just video, I'm sure it's going to be funny. And it was it was actually pretty.
For a second, I didn't think it was going to be funny because I was waiting in the back lot for the patients to come out, and other patients came out, and they were a little groggy, but they would jump in their car and drive away.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this will be funny. Well, when Cheeto came out, he couldn't even function. And I was like, okay, this isn't gonna be funny. This is gonna be like serious.
Oh no. Oh man, that's hilarious. So like how was the World Deer Expo for you guys? Because I went we actually got to sort of meet Lee. We saw him walking in, we talked like what, JD, like 10 seconds. And
We kind of, hey guys, how you doing, kind of thing. I got to run in here, and work. So
we came by the booth some, and y'all were slammed.
bam.
Like we were working the booth for Urban Archery Outfitters, and we had like 15 minutes to come over and try to kind of set like something like this up, and also just meet everybody. And we saw like what was it, like a 50-foot line, and we're like, yeah, we're not gonna be able to do that. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's a lot of fun. I mean, Cheeto's the show guy. He's actually doing Buckmasters this weekend with him, right?
You going down to Perry?
Yep. Yeah, we'll be in Montgomery. I was actually there earlier, and then I came back. I had to get my stuff, and I'm going back tonight. But yeah, we'll be there all weekend. So
Yeah.
and it was good. Like it's really cool. Like BJ said earlier, I mean, you see that there's people subscribed to the channel. You see that you have followers and the comments, and get some really cool emails and things like that. But you never really understand that people actually know who you are. And man, it's just really cool. It's like it's humbling too, like just to meet people. I'm the biggest people person that you'll ever meet. Like you can ask BJ, Lee, anybody. Like if there's something going on, if I'm not there, I have FOMO, and it's like the worst FOMO you can imagine. And so I'm 90 to nothing all the time because like I'm the yes guy, and my wife's like, you've got to slow down.
I've been told that a few times.
The cool thing about the deer show is that, like, for us, I feel like we're in the perfect lane. I think Cheeto wishes our lane was a little bigger, but when you see like Lee, I mean, like he can't even walk through the place without even 50 people want to have a conversation, which like Cheeto would love that. But when you see these big lines and you can't really function or whatever, like people that want to be in the hunting industry or like have the YouTube channels or they're trying to get something going, they think that that's like the great life or that's the ultimate goal. And for some people it is, but when you actually see it in real time, happening to somebody, you're like, whew, I don't know if I'd want that. That is heavy.
Yeah.
So we're like in the shadows and we're like observing that. And then every once in a while somebody's like, hey, I've seen y'all stuff. And then it's like, okay, that's cool. So I think it's a good spot. But at the deer show, when they're there, it's like, it's stupid.
Oh, it was crazy, man. Like I knew it was going to be a lot of people. And well, like I said, we turned the corner, we saw the booth, and I'm like, nope. Not gonna. I'll just email Cheeto 1,000 times. This ain't gonna work, man.
Yeah.
So we saw y'all, there with them. Are y'all? I know Cheeto, you might be kind of interested in it, but are y'all thinking about maybe kind of setting up your own little area and booth at the next show, or no? Okay.
Nah, I mean, essentially, we're going to do our thing, and we don't have like a business model. We don't have sponsorship tags. I mean, people send us gear, and if we love it, then we talk about it and we use it. Like it's not like hey, we're going to send you some free stuff, and then we just blow something up because they're giving us a discount code or paying us or whatever. Mm-hmm. So there's none of that in our deal. We literally just do what we love, have fun. And I just enjoy the filming and editing piece. Like I enjoy that. So it's fun to me. And so we just do that. And then if it works, it works. If people watch it, they watch it. If they don't, they don't. And, we're not worried about that whole deal. So the booth part, I mean, I think that if you're trying to sell merch or build a brand and all that, then it's good for you. I mean, we're just like, we'll tag with the Seek One guys and maybe do we're like maybe like their little sister kind of, if you want to look at it that way, like we're the Birmingham group and we'll collab with them. I think we're going to do the Nashville thing with them. We'll probably do the doe shoot again with them, and he might come to Birmingham again this year or whatever. And
that doe was fun. It was awesome, man. I loved seeing that.
Yeah. And so it's kind of it's just a team, like a brotherhood, like you said, sitting around a campfire hunting. Our hunting camp's a little different because, there's a bunch of cameras and stuff and it gets awkward and weird sometimes, but it's so much fun. It really is fun because Cheeto's got a really big deer. Should I tell him? I mean, I guess that's
Yeah,
okay.
it's fine. I mean, you
He's
don't have
got-
to tell them where it is.
No, yeah, we
Well-
don't hunt Alabama, so.
Yeah, well, this one's actually more in y'all's neck of the woods, I guess.
Oh,
You know?
okay. Well,
And so he's got a really big one. And so there's probably going to be some collaboration with that. And so anyway, I mean, so we don't care anything about that brand or whatever and trying to like build something that way.
mhm.
If it organically happens, it happens. If not,
Okay. You're more on the organic side of it. So that's cool, man. I respect that.
Yeah, and BJ kind of said it the best to me, anyways, because when I think it was beginning of last year, sometime I was like, dude, at one point BJ had come out with some Birmingham Suburban Bowhunter gear and things like that. And I was like, dude, we need to do that. And just because my goal was like, man, if we did that, like we could just use all that funding for like trips and we could go do certain things. And that's how we could be funded to hunt. And I was like, because this will never be our full-time job. I mean, we have kids and going as much as Lee does, it does not work with kids.
I don't understand how he does it, man.
Yeah.
I really don't.
So BJ said the best is like, man, we're going to advertise. I mean, I literally all I have is Seek One stuff. I mean, I'm going to wear their stuff. I'm going to promote my friends. They're my guys. We're linked to them, and so we're going to promote the heck out of their brand. And so we grow their brand and, that's our heart. And I actually I work with them now just because I had some extra time with the business I was working for, just kind of slowing down. And I had some extra time. I was like, guys, I'll help you out however y'all need it. And they just need some help. So I came on staff and kind of been running the shows and things like that. So it's fun for me because I love getting to see people, meeting people and hanging out. So it's fun. So, but like BJ said, our whole goal is to just have fun and enjoy hunting, and hopefully people hear Jesus through what we do.
So you're doing a good job. Like I said earlier, man, you're doing it right. Yeah, man, no, that's awesome. I definitely can respect that because a lot of people get into it for the wrong reasons. I talked with Michael Waddell about this a few months ago, and our buddy Chris, and we all discussed people will get into it because they're thinking oh, I'm gonna be the next big thing and I'm gonna be this famous person. That's not why you should get into it. You should get into it because you love it, not because you want to have the fame and whatever fortune comes with it. So I can definitely respect that. I mean, we're trying to make this podcast, as big as it'll get, but if it stays, within a certain bubble, then that's what God wanted, and that's what we're rolling with,
Yeah, I think the podcast world, there's a good opportunity to make money in the advertising.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are listening to podcasts, and I think it's awesome what y'all are doing, man. Cheeto and I, we started a podcast, and I mean, it's hard, man. It's a grind.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of commitment.
We enjoy it. Yeah, we enjoy it. It's just time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is so before we got on, my wife called me 10 minutes before 7, and she was like, hey, we're thinking about doing this and this. I'm like, you do know I've got to record tonight, right? Because I told her earlier, and she goes, oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. I was like, well, that's fine. I'm like, where are you at? And she was like, oh, I'm 10 minutes away. I was like, all right, well, I can at least see you get the baby to bed and then come on down. So yeah, dude, the time stuff, it's ridiculous. I mean, and then editing, and it's a lot, but it's fun. I mean, that's why we do it, because it's fun. We get to meet guys like you, and we get to meet people that we would never have the chance to meet without a platform. So, but enough about us, man. Look, BJ, I gotta know, dude, what's the story on that gigantic, what was it, 200-inch state record deer that you killed a few years back?
We round him up. He was 199 4/8, but we say
I know. I was trying to help you out.
It's like I tell everybody.
The guy's score is 186.
If you catch a 9-pound 14-ounce bass, he's a 10-pounder. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I mean, gosh, that story, dude, it was go back to God. I mean, it's 100% God. It's just
I love it.
What's funny about the whole deal, we're talking about getting into the whole video and in the industry and all that stuff or whatever, but I was just filming and hunting and kind of had a little Instagram thing going. It was actually called Suburban Outfitters to begin with. And so this huge deer showed up. And when all that happened, and I ended up, and I'll get into the story of the deer, but just kind of flash forward real quick. Like when that happened, I was filming it and to kind of telling that story. And when you kill a deer like that in Alabama, it's becomes, a huge spotlight gets shined on you. And so that's when it was like, okay, this thing is really growing, and now I need to like do something with it, and now we need to get some merch, and now we need to do all that. And that was just like such a wake up call for me. It's like, that is just not the world I want to be in. Even no matter what happened, it could have stopped right there, whatever. But anyway, yeah. But as far as the deer, the story on the deer, man. So somebody sent me a picture of that deer in like 2017, and they told me that it was kind of an area that I didn't have permission in, but it was really close, and it was a giant. And so I started a mission to get as much permission as I could to get on this deer. But where the deer was, I knew, because I grew up in that area, I knew exactly kind of where his domain was, but it was all basically landlocked by owners who would never allow anybody to bow hunt ever in a million years. And there was this crazy situation that happened on another property I had where there were some illegal immigrants that were using firearms on an inner city piece of property and right by the interstate. And so we collaborated with the game wardens and local officials and caught like 5 guys, and they all had guns. And that when they drug them out, they put them right by the interstate on their hands and knees. And literally the whole interstate came to a stop, and like Channel 13, Channel 6 News pulls up, and the deal kind of went viral, hunters caught, using firearms in neighborhood or whatever. So when that happened, that opened up a conversation for this big landowner that had this land, and said, hey, if you can help us do that on our properties, because we're getting phone calls all the time of people shooting guns, riding ATVs, it's just a liability for us, we might let you hunt some of our properties. And I was like, I knew in my mind which property I wanted right off the bat. And they said yes. And so I ended up getting in there and getting cameras up, and didn't see him 2018, 2019, found him. Got him on camera for the first time. And what's crazy is I was actually tagged out and had a buddy that I was hunting with that I tried to get to shoot him.
Not me.
I didn't know you did.
Not Cheeto. The Lord's making you wait just a little longer, man.
Yeah.
He's making the 3 of us wait.
And yeah, I try to get him set up on the deer. It was like mid-January. Our season ends like the 1st of February, so he had like 3 weeks, and he couldn't close the deal. And so that summer, I was like, okay, I'm going to feed this deer. I'm going to keep him right here, keep him healthy, because he kind of looked old, and he kind of looked like, from the picture I had from 2017, he looked like he'd gone down actually, and it looked like he might have had an injury where he'd been shot. Like just looking at fuzzy game camera pictures. So I was like, I need to keep him healthy. So I go in there with a feeder and all this stuff, and he doesn't go anywhere near it all summer. And I finally go in there and get the feeder out. And as soon as I get the feeder out, he starts showing up in velvet, like just with nubs. Like his nubs were just coming out, but I could tell it was him because it was just already huge.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to get near that feeder because it was foreign. It was weird. It was too human, I think. So just putting the feet on the ground, and he started coming, and he would I just watched him get bigger and bigger. This was 2020. And I mean, he was huge. And he was also with another deer that, no lie, was probably a 170, 175 with 0 deductions, a perfect 6x6. They were together. And it was like, in Alabama, that's stupid. Like, you don't ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't happen. And so anyway, I just watched him, and he grew. And then, of course, as soon as they shed their velvet, he vanishes. It's our season opens October 15th. They shed the velvet around, the 1st of October. And as soon as I go hard horn, he's gone. I mean, cameras go quiet. And I mean, I surround this place. I had like 6 cell cameras in multiple different locations. And he just didn't show up at all. And then middle of November, it was right around Thanksgiving, he popped up on camera at like 3 a.m. in one of my spots. And And I went in on a coin flip. I don't know if y'all heard this part of the story or whatever, but I had 2 different spots that he could show it, that he was kind of in the middle of where he was. And one of them I felt more confident in, over here. And this other one was like, this is a possibility. So I got the little flip a coin app and I hit the button and it was like, go to this one over here. I was like, I didn't really want to. So I was like, I really want to go to this one over here. So I did it again. And it said to go to this one again. I did it again. It said to go to this one again. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to listen to the coin. So I ended up listening to a coin flip and went to this other spot. And 7:30 a.m. he walked out and I shot him 12 yards broadside. And then I didn't have any idea how big he was. I had no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
didn't you have to double draw on him too?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I drew. Yeah, I had to draw, and he was about to step into a clearing, and I drew, and he just didn't step out, and I was holding for a really long time, so I had to let down.
Yeah.
As any bow hunter knows, that's the worst, horrible. I mean, a million things.
Yep.
And as soon as I let down, he takes 2 steps I need, and I pull back.
There you go.
But what's crazy about that deer is, as a deer hunter, I mean, especially mature deer, when they come in, they're always like hyper alert. Their ears, their noses are going. They're nervous all the time, and you never know if they're just going to blow and run off. This deer never acted nervous. Like he was
Really?
he never gave me the impression that he was like even had a clue that it was just, that's what kept me cool, to be able to move the camera and adjust it, because he was cool. And so anyway, yeah. I mean, the arrow I tell everybody all the time, I don't remember looking through the peep sight. I don't remember. I blacked out for a second.
Yeah, just blacked out, woke up, dead deer.
Yeah.
You use anything for cover scent at all, or?
No, I didn't, man. Like I used to be really heavy into I mean, I would do everything, man. I'd go Ozonics. I'd get, I'd put all my camo, and I'm careful with my scent. You know what I mean? Like I don't mix it with all my normal laundry. I wash it in the scent free stuff. And, I will spray a little bit sometimes, but I'm not like militant about it. And I wasn't then. I just play the wind, I mean, if the wind's good, then I'm confident. If the wind's not good, I don't feel confident no matter what I'm doing. And after I shot that, the wind was perfect when I shot the deer. And then after I shot him, I'm standing on the road with him doing the pictures and all that. And the wind, my buddy was like, dude, how'd this deer come in here with the wind like this? And the wind shifted and it was blowing right to my stand from where he was standing. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, even then I didn't know. I mean, I thought he was 170. Do you think he's going to push 180? I'd never seen a deer that big before. I had no idea. I never even measured a deer. Never measured. And I didn't even know the process. I had to Google, how do you measure a deer? I mean, so got him in the garage. My father-in-law, who's an experienced hunter, he's measured some deer. He came over and we did it. And he's like, man, I got him. He's like, I got him right at 199. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, you think he's that big? And anyway, yeah, got him officially scored, and he was 199 and 4/8, which is like, so at Buckmasters, who scored him, Buckmasters have like some different categories, and it's based on like how their rack is. If it's super irregular, they call it irregular. If it's perfectly typical, they call it typical. But if there's a middle category they call semi-regular, which is a mix of a lot of non-typical points and still has a very regular rack. So in that category, he's number 1, state of Alabama.
Heck yeah.
For typical, so take all the deductions off of him, he's number 2. And then if you just overall, like if you just mass antler, he's number 4. So,
well, I've always said nets are for fishing anyway. So if he grew it, it should be scored. And that's a monster. Because like I've seen, I've got some public land maybe 10 minutes from the house, and I've seen a deer that was probably pushing 150, 160. Scared the crap out of him because I thought he was a squirrel. So I turned around and he's right there, and he just gone. JD actually has a deer on camera right now. We've been debating for the past few weeks. I'm saying 150. Now he isn't velvet, but this dude, giant. People are telling him like 130. I don't buy it. But and the thing is, we actually do. So I'm not gonna say we hunt like suburban areas. JD lives in Cobb County, so he's hunting probably 10 minutes from a few of Lee and Drew's spots. I've got a spot on Jackson Lake. It's near, I don't know if you've ever been like where Jay lives and all that, like Social Circle and stuff. It's near there, and it's 1 acre. And so like I look to you guys when I'm hunting a small spot like that because I don't,
Yep.
you know, I don't know what to do other than play the wind and try to figure out where they're coming from. But
That's all you can.
yeah,
I mean, it's like, so I listen to the Southern Outdoorsman sometimes. I'm friends with those guys. I don't know if you ever listen to their podcast.
oh yeah, listen to them every week.
Yeah, and so they have, you know, these experts come on, and you know, we know Michael Perry, who's an Alabama legend or whatever,
Yep.
and I mean, they are reading the wind, trails, like which way the thermals are rising, and
Ozones.
I mean, I'm going to be completely transparent. In 2019, they legalized bait in Alabama, you know, and so we use bait. I mean, that's just, I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, I mean, it's just like, if you're not baiting, you're waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I had T-Bone say that on the podcast, and I told him, like, I'm clipping this. Like,
That's
we're
awesome.
gonna clip this, people are gonna hear it. I mean, I say it all the time, dude. So I completely understand. I completely agree.
Yeah. So I mean, and you know, so when they legalized in Alabama, I don't know how long it's been legal in Georgia, but in Alabama, when they legalized it, I was honestly just kind of disappointed in just because I'm, you know, this old school thing, or you know, let's find the fallen white oaks, let's do that kind of deal. But then I realized like baiting wasn't a magic bullet. Like what happened real quick is the deer realize where their food source is, and the mature bucks go at the safest time, middle of the night.
Mhm.
So that you might get a bunch of pictures of them, but you're not going to see them when you're hunting, because they learn very quickly your entrance points, your exit point, where their predator is coming from, and they know exactly where their food source is. So they bait downwind. I mean, they lay downwind, and it's just like, it's not as easy as everybody thinks, you know. And I personally hate the rut, because as a bow hunter, you know, the bucks never stand still; they're just moving around all the time. And I need to stand still so I can shoot them. I mean, you can see cool stuff. I mean, you see them, you know, you see them chasing, you hear them grunt, and you see them fighting. I love all that stuff, but I want them to stand still. So what I do is I locate a target, you know, on a small parcel or wherever. I locate where he is, so to make sure, okay, he's there. And then like this time of year, we just keep them there as much as we can, and then slowly try to bring them to the prime entry point. So I know that like if I can get this deer coming here in the daylight, then I can enter here, and he's not going to cross my ground scent, or as long as the wind's right, he's not going to smell me. I can sneak up and be in the tree. And as long as the deer is showing up, then I'll get a good chance on him. And then another thing I do is I'm very, like, I didn't get in the tree last year until November 15th, and our season opened on October 15th. And I had deer showing up, but they just weren't daylighting.
Yeah.
But as soon as this deer did 2 days in a row of daylight, the deer I was hunting last year, I called him Groot. He was this freaky, non-typical deer. And he daylighted twice in a row. I was in the third day. And boom, he was in there at shooting light. Just, there was one of those big black vines that hangs down. And it was like right at last light. And my arrow hit that and deflected, and he got away, and somebody else shot him. But
oh no.
But I mean, that worked. And then
Yeah.
you know, just being smart, because if I was in that stand every day just because it was opening day, and I'm sitting there putting pressure on that spot and leaving my scent there every day just because I want to be in a tree and I'm overexcited, then I don't ever see that deer.
Yeah.
Know?
I mean, I had that same problem last year. Like me and JD argued last year about it because he and I both would go whenever we can. And I had a deer that was probably 130s, you know, mid 130s. I'd already killed a deer at that point on this property because I only had 2 spots last year, with 1 access point and 1 exit point. So 3 weeks of hunting it consistently, they stopped showing up.
Yeah.
And this deer daylighted 1 time in October. And I'm over here thinking, all right, if I put this bait out, it's going to work. If I put this scent out, it's going to work. And I was moving along the property in different places. But he already had my number, dude. So there was no way I was going to kill him. This year, because of all of that, I'm probably not even going to hunt that spot till mid-October at least.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing you said. Like you go in, you know, too many times, they'll figure out your trail, and then that's it. They won't.
Yeah, man. Big bucks don't get big by being stupid.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, they're neighborhood deer. They're probably eating out of somebody's bird feeder. And you know, my grandma saw that deer in her driveway. Well, maybe, but once you become a predator, something happens in the instinct of a deer. They know if I'm out there walking down the street with my kids playing jump jacks or whatever, as opposed to I'm in my camo and I'm there to kill
in a tree where people should.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know if it's something and this is just a weird theory I have, like a pheromone we let off is like the instinct to kill kicks in, because like if you've ever been around a blood tracking dog, like when a deer gets shot or injured, and the dogs track them, but they don't track them by the blood on the ground. The deer lets out like a pheromone in their hoof, like that's an injury pheromone that the dog smells and can track the deer. I don't know if there's something like we don't, as hunters, men or whatever, and our testosterone gets jacked up, that we let out when we're like there to kill, and the deer can like sense that. That's just a goofy theory I have, but I'm like,
I believe it. I mean, I can definitely see
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good theory.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is, but I mean, there's definitely a difference. So, I mean, having like the lowest amount of impact you can have on a spot is so important, especially if it's a big mature buck. Like the more you're in there pounding it, you're going to bump them out of there and never see them. So,
and that's what we did with Chubbs. Chubbs last year is, BJ was like, we didn't have him in there all the time. And so like BJ was like, dude, don't go sit in there. So like I probably only hunted there maybe 10 times or less last year, because he just wasn't showing up. Like the spot that we had was just, summer spot, and he just disappeared. But the one encounter I had with him was I had just gotten in the tree and literally got my backpack off and was getting the camera out, and all of a sudden him and two other bucks just come running up the hill, and I was like, that moment we were just like, well, what do I do now? And so it's like, I had no camera up, I don't know if they heard me and we're just coming to check it out, see what was going on or what, but it was just the craziest moment ever. And just seeing that deer in person, I told BJ, I was like, I'm hunting there every day, all day. I'm not going down. He's like, no, don't.
Can I show him a picture of that deer?
Chubbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, being the
oh my God. BJ, make a noise or something so we can get that on the video. That is
hello.
Make it light again. Touch it, BJ.
Man.
Touch it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Hello. Mic check. Can you hear it?
There it is. Oh,
wow.
Man.
Good Lord.
That honestly makes JD's big buck look like a 2-year-old.
Hey.
But the crazy thing about that deer is like he looks big on camera, but oh my gosh, in person, he's like a horse compared. Like, so the other deer that are with him, like one of the other deer is probably what would you say, BJ? He's probably like a 115, 120. He might be pushing 125 this season. I don't know. He's a nice sized deer, but next to that deer, he looks like a baby. And it's like, it makes that deer look awful. So
that's awesome, dude. I mean, I had a deer named Tank last year, the same exact situation that deer I was just telling you about. I had one. So there was a deer that was with this guy over here. I named that deer Pickles, or well, my daughter did. And then she watches a lot of Bluey, so she named the other deer Bluey. And I'm thinking these guys are going to be the biggest ones on the property. They're, giants, whatever. And then Tank shows up, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, that dude right there is all of 250, no problem. And these other guys are, I don't know. I didn't weigh them, but so I know exactly what you're saying. Seeing a deer that makes the other deer look like fawns still. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy.
We got a funny story with Chubbs too. This deer. So, Cheeto, tell me if I exaggerate the story. Correct me if I'm wrong, because So anyway,
BJ normally exaggerates. It's a 98%. He's going to exaggerate the story.
So I found the deer. True. Cheeto got the phone number for the landowner, right?
Yes.
And then I got the permission, right?
Correct. Because BJ said, do you want me to call? And I was like, you can call if you want. I can call because I'm used to calling. Yeah. He's like, okay, let me call. Yeah, so he wanted to call.
That's
the truth. But we're both on the phone. Okay.
But two key facts. I found the deer, landed the permission, right? So if y'all were the judges, who would be the man shooting the deer? Just out of curiosity. This man found the number. I give him that.
But it literally took, okay, but hold on. First, it literally took me a couple of hours to find, because it wasn't like a normal number.
Yeah.
Like I had to search his relatives to find out who this man, like, because he had it under an LLC. I had to ask a lawyer and then had to go to relatives and then
now who's exaggerating?
Yeah, that is the truth.
But if you did all that, I think the FBI needs to give you a call and give you a job.
It's a deep search.
So anyway, funny story. So like last year, I was like, okay, Cheeto, you got this season. You got this season, man. Like, I'm gonna film you. You get up, go kill this deer, crush it, and whatever. The deer disappears about a week into the season.
Oh no!
Of course, I'm over there just kind of quietly, like, yes, because I know. I told him next year, I'm checking in, and we're going tag team on this bad boy. So
there you go.
Cheeto's gonna be real upset. So that's nothing that sucks about when you do kill a big deer. Is this was 3 years ago? Okay, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, well, you've already killed a big deer, so why do you need to kill another big deer? Well, I mean it's I still want to kill it.
Yeah. BJ needs to kill another big deer after Cheeto kills a big deer.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
He's got a giant in Atlanta or in that area.
I bet. I've seen them out there.
That deer's probably, how should I even say? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's 170, 180.
Eric, you can pull up the picture of mine. Show him mine. See what I think of mine.
All right, hold on. Give me 5 minutes to look for it.
So while he's looking for that, guys, I got a question for y'all, since y'all kind of do the whole urban thing like I do. I work out of town. I'm Monday through Friday. I'm only home on the weekends. I've got one big spot that's 30 acres, and I can only hunt on the weekends when I'm home. Are y'all going in there every weekend, or how are you going to go about it if you're in my spot?
Nah, man. I mean, see, that's kind of a hard question for me, because I do have more freedom because I'm in a sales job. And so as long as I get my stuff done, I can have the free time to get in there. And weekends for me are really tough because we got soccer and whatever else going on in kid life and all that. So I try to get in during the week, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I'm always watching. I don't know if you run cell cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm watching my cell camera, and I put on east detection. And as soon as my target deer is daylight 1 or 2 days, as long as it's a little bit of consistency where I know he's bedded right there and is comfortable coming in the daylight hours, I'm in the stand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully for you that falls on a weekend, and I understand, man, like, it'd be real hard not to just be in a tree because you got a free time and you got that opportunity. But that big buck, man, I would, it's worth not being in the stand if he's not showing up. Of course, that's the day he's going to pop up on your camera at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
That happened to me last year, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So you never know. I mean, sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, but I mean, it's just, if you can avoid it, I try to wait till I got consistent pattern, and then I'm in.
Yeah, because if he's only coming in like early morning before daylight, or last thing you want to do is bust him out of there. And then
right now, I've got the pictures that I've got of him right now. Last week was at 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. on the same day.
Oh yeah, dude, he's
100. Dude.
He's 150 all day, man.
Thank you. There you go.
Yeah.
So tell Facebook, JD, that they're wrong. BJ said he's 150.
Facebook will kick you in the groin so fast you don't even.
Dude, so here's my opinion on people on Facebook, and I hope this goes over well. But my thing is, like, some people just want to. I think that there's people out there that like to press people's buttons.
Yeah.
And like, I think all they're doing is sitting there, like, because they're not really even hunters, they're just poking bears. They're just like, oh, this is a dinky deer. Don't shoot that deer. Let him grow. Like, dude, the deer gets you excited. I don't care if it's 100-inch or if it's a 199. Because I missed out.
Y'all's bucks were smaller, but y'all were excited and heart pumped about that.
Dude, yeah. I mean, my thing that I've missed out on life is that I've watched too many deer And now I'm, 34 and I've really never killed a deer over 110 inches because I've just watched so many deer go by because I've always been like, I want that 160. And like when Chubbs came about, literally Chubbs is my dream deer. Like
Yes.
he was a perfect 8 point, just tall. Like that was my dream deer. And so like I've always passed deer because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get that deer because I'm just gonna keep letting these grow. Well, then what happens? Some people shooting them.
Yeah.
I mean, so or they get hit by a car.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
I think whatever gets you excited, man, shoot the deer. So
Yeah, that's
it's
what hunting's about, man. I mean, when I grew up hunting, I mean, in Alabama, it was like when I was a little kid, we used to have dog clubs. I don't know if y'all had those over in Georgia or you're old enough to experience
I'm
that.
sure that we do somewhere. I don't know.
This was like in the 80s, and you'd get in a club with like 40 or 50 guys, and they'd get in the back of a pickup truck and drop you off every 200 yards groups, and then they'd cut the dogs loose, and the dogs would just run the deer past you or whatever, and you shoot them a buckshot. I mean, anything runs, and everybody was fired up if a deer hit the ground. It didn't matter if he was a 2-year-old or whatever. And just that camaraderie around the hunting piece of it can get really wrecked when people start looking at inches and it's got to be this size or start crushing on somebody else. Cause like, it's weird. Like as men, we keep a scoreboard, no matter what, you're keeping score. Like whether you feel like it or not, whether you measure inches or not, there's some kind of scoreboard going on in your mind and we want to win. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's really like somebody shoots a mainframe 8 point, 125 inches or whatever, and they're super fired up. It's real easy to get on there and be like, oh, you should let him have another year. And that just makes the other dudes feel like crap about a deer he's fired up about. Why do that? Why do that? Especially in the areas like I understand if you're on a 5,000 acre track and your management program is such that you're like, everybody's in agreement. We're going to shoot 5-year-olds and we're trying to grow our herd to this. And like you're in that program. I get it. That's fine. But like in our areas, in our situation, it's just as important to shoot a mature deer as it is younger deer because the herd itself isn't healthy because of the overpopulation of the deer.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like a bass pond, I mean, you got when they're too full, you don't get 10 pounders because you got 6,000 2-pounders. So every once in a while you got to pull out some of the 2-pounders, and fry them up so you can let them grow to 10 pounders. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And after I shot high hopes or whatever, I mean, it messed me up for a minute because one of my buddies at the time was like, dude, you're not going to be any fun to hunt with anymore. And I'm like, man, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to change. But sure enough, that next year, all the game camera pictures, they weren't good enough. And we're talking about great deer, but now just because I was so spoiled in this blessing of a situation, now none of these deer are good enough. And I'm finally getting settled year 3. I'm like, okay, yeah, these deer are good enough. We need to come back to earth and get the reality.
He's got a deer right now that he looks like a spawn of high hopes, and he's a pretty solid deer.
Yeah, he's not near as big as hopes. No, he's not that big. Now he might be a county runner.
Give him time.
Yeah. I'll shoot him tomorrow if they let me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, man. Like I got my buddy Thor. He's one of those that if he sees a deer and he likes it, he shoots it. And he doesn't care what anyone on Facebook says. He posted. He got a good 9-point last year, and then he shot I think like a forky or something, and then I think he got an extra tag on some hunt, some quota hunt, and he thought it was a doe, and he shot this little spike. And, he posted on Facebook, posted all 3 deer, and a lot of people were saying, they're like, oh, man, why'd you shoot the young one? Give him, time to grow. And he's like, dude, are you hunting where I'm hunting? No. Do you control what I do? No. And I hate that. I hate that people think that they need to go on there. And it's the same thing. If you're in a club and there's rules, okay, fine. I get it. But if you're out on public land, who cares?
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. It just causes division, man. And it's ridiculous. But look, guys, I don't want to hold y'all too long. I do have one question. I'm curious. I'm a big broadhead nut. And I was watching your videos the other day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all were using the Q80 Exodus, right?
Yep.
Are you still using it?
Yeah.
My guys. I'm switching to that this year. That broadhead, I mean, and JD's, he and I go back and forth about broadheads. He's got this one that looks like a pair of scissors that is like this and it opens ridiculous, and it might work.
Yeah.
It's so funny because this whole summer I was pushing mega meats and sever and all of that.
Hey, last year I killed 4 with Exodus. I love those
No,
broadheads.
and it was great. It was great. It's just funny though because you all summer were like, oh, I'm shooting fixed blade, I'm shooting this, and we switched. You're shooting mechanicals, and I'm shooting fixed now. So,
Yeah.
like, what kind of setup do you guys like? I mean, are you on the heavy arrow train? Are you on the mid range, the light?
I'm a mid guy. My whole arrow is 475 grains.
Okay.
So
Nice. Right there with me. Nice.
yeah. So I shoot like a VAP TKO is my arrow, and then I put like a 50 grain outsert on the front end and a 125 grain broadhead.
Okay.
And so and I shoot the Q80X as the fixed, and it's a good setup. I mean, it's a really smooth shooting arrow, and I've gone back and forth with broadheads. I'm not near as versed in it as you are, but I'm just a believer. Like if you hit them right, they're dead.
Yeah.
Like, you can hit them right. So as long as my arrow is flying correctly and there's none of that mess in it, and it's nice, good flight path, and I feel confident and I can hit it where I want to hit it, I'm going to kill that deer if I'm shooting a field tip.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously broadheads are huge. I'm not dogging any broadheads, but I mean, I've just the nice fixed sharp ones that just cut through. I mean, I love them.
Oh yeah, I've sliced my finger a couple times on that broadhead, changing blades out.
Dude, yeah, funny story. So I don't know. So I'm not the science behind it. I go to my bow guy and he sets it up for me. He's like, this is what you need to shoot. That's the kind of guy I don't know anything. I am actually just went to BJ's arrows because last year I was shooting because I don't know if you can tell from videos, but I'm super short. Like
We saw you at the show.
okay, yeah, I'm like I'm 5'5".
No, dude, you're 4'9" on a good day.
I'm 5'5" with my boots on,
Oh,
So
what's your draw length, Cheeto?
my draw length is like 26 and a half. So
his arrows look like crossbow bolts.
yeah, they're bolts. I call them bolts because they're tiny. I literally told BJ I call it. So BJ's trying to take that joke as his own, but I called him the other day and I said, dude, my arrows are so small, like I might as well call them bolts. But anyway, so I just went to VAP TKOs because I was shooting BJ, what are they called?
The Full Metal Jackets.
Yeah, Full Metal Jackets. And BJ was hunting with me last year. And so quick funny story. He was with me. There's about 100 deer all over us. I mean, this place is covered out. They're come from every which way. First time I go draw my release does not lock and it shoots an arrow, right? So it just and just like and so that happened and like literally landed right behind a deer. Nothing happened. None of them freaked out. Yeah. And this nice 8-point was just still right there. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to get it. So I get another arrow. And needless to say, I'm having to move super slow, like just like a snail. And then I finally get the arrow on, get it pulled back good this time. Well, then I shot and it just looked weird. And I was like, the deer ran like 10 yards and stopped. And I was like, well, maybe I hit him. I didn't hear a thud. But I was like, maybe I hit him because he literally just stopped like 10 yards. So I was like, maybe he's about to die. And BJ was like, did you just miss? And I was like, I think I missed. And sure enough, dude, that arrow was so warped. Like I rolled it. I took the broadhead off and rolled it. And it was like, it was so bad. And I shot that arrow just to see. And it was like off like by 1.5 feet. So like I clearly, but anyway, so like I learned last year after that, I was like done with these. So this year I love my setup and my bow guy. He did some fletchings for me and they're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we had the guy from Easton on a few months ago and didn't, I always looked at the Full Metal Jacket as a good arrow, but then I started seeing a lot of videos of people saying, and people I've met now, they're like, oh yeah, I, just set it on a rock. Next thing I know, I shoot it and the thing's bent. I'm like, that shouldn't happen. So I don't know what the deal is with that, man. But look, guys, I've kept you long enough. I really appreciate y'all coming on. This right here is top level for me because, like I said, I've looked up to y'all for years, and I wish I could have seen you guys at the show. I would try to make it down to the Buckarama, but we're doing a birthday party for my daughter Saturday, so I won't be able to make it. But I mean, is there anything we need to know? Is there anything y'all are working on? Any videos maybe coming out? Any other giant deer that you guys are on? Just anything you want the listeners to know about?
I mean, we're going to be filmed. We got some targets. We got 2 or 3. Hopefully we put them on the ground. We'll be filming, running cameras nonstop. And, the Suburban Bowhunters, our Instagram, TikTok, and then our YouTube channel. And that's our primary deal. We do have a podcast, the Suburban Bowhunter podcast. So you can go back and listen. It's mostly just Cheeto and I talking about faith stuff. we tried to make it a hunting podcast, but then we're like, we kind of enjoy talking about our faith more sometimes. So we kind of it starts out to hunting and then switches over. So if you're interested in that kind of deal, you can hear a little bit more of our personal stuff there. And then we're going to do a collaboration with Seek One on the Velvet Tennessee season. And then,
Nice.
we'll see how it goes, man. It's a huge honor to have us on, man. That all their kind words, man, that means more than you know. And just being invited to do stuff like this is kind of overwhelming and a huge honor. So thank y'all so much, man.
Yeah,
I tell you one thing, the past couple of weeks, we've had, a lot of business, in the industry, on our podcast, but to actually now be able to get back down to our roots with, actual hunters and share these hunting stories. And that's just, to me, it's just, almost kind of touching. It feels really good to actually have, normal people back on again.
Yeah.
And
Why we do it, man? I mean,
stories, guys, man.
yeah,
Like,
here.
hold on.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll do it.
Do it
Yeah.
so I can record it.
Hey man, good luck this season, you guys.
Yeah, good luck.
Keep me updated on the social media. Hit me the messages and I'll try to reply there. I did the Cheeto.
Nah, you're good, dude. Don't worry. If I send you 5 messages about
By
photos,
the way, I think Cheeto needs to get Chubbs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, we should do a vote. That's what we should do.
dude, there you go. Suburban Bowhunter. Put it on Instagram. Do a live poll and see.
I don't like that because I'm the angry old one and Cheeto's the funny, likable one. So
No, see, the only reason I'm giving it to Cheeto is, you got the big one a few years ago, and he's been dreaming of a big one. So I got to give it for the dream.
He keeps throwing it out there. This is my dream buck. This is my dream buck. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, skinny.
That's what got me on the boat.
Hey, and I'll say this last thing, but the reason I use Q80X is like you said, dude, like in front of a landowner, I sliced my finger open. Like I was just tightening. She was talking to me. And then I looked down. I didn't even know it happened.
Yeah.
But my hand was literally covered in blood. And I was like, oh, snap. And she goes, oh, my God. And like she's freaking out. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, but it's like bleeding a lot. I need to probably go wash it off and like wrap it. I mean, I probably needed stitches, but we went on with it. But can we show bloody pictures on here? Or should I just?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was a doe quartered away from me. This was the entry, and then I'll show you the exit. But it was just like that was the entry.
He was quartered away hard.
And this
And
was
Exodus did that?
this was the exit.
Yep.
That was the deer. That deer literally went 10 yards because I went to
I saw a picture of the doe that I got last year with the Exodus, and it, I went through both scapulas.
Yeah. Well, what got me really wanting to use it was I saw Lee's video with the upside down buck.
Yeah.
And that thing is just squirting out. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm dealing with. I don't care. And then you guys, the thing that gets me too, and I know we need to wrap this up, but the thing that gets me too is watching y'all's videos when that broadhead goes through the deer, they act like they don't know what happened.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of stand there like
It's cool.
Every
killed with the Q80 Exodus, I can see where it falls. And even in Atlanta when BJ and I went, every single one of those deer Dude, they
Y'all
were,
got like 5 of them that year, didn't you?
I got a lot.
could
Yeah,
see
we stacked them up.
like they're in walking distance.
Yeah.
Big thing.
Cool, man. Well, look, good luck this season, guys. Thank you again for everything. Not even just coming on here, but helping me in my walk with the Lord and hunting and all of that. I really, really enjoyed this. This was one of the best podcast episodes I think we've done. Honestly, it's been a great time.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all have a good season.
You too, man. Thank you.
See you.
Southeastern Bowhunter Podcast.